Hi, my darlings. I'm Sophie Darling, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're reacting to episode 47 of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, and I'm wondering if today is the chosen day because it was kind of alluding to that in the previous episode that we were like the day before. Gluttony has made a reappearance. Al has been captured. May is going to Central. Hohenheim's going to Central. Ed's going to Central. Greed's going to Central. Everyone's going to Central. Raph got blown up. I don't know why I'm saying Raph when I refer to him as King. King got blown up. It's either King or Bradley. I never refer to him by the same thing every episode, but we'll maybe see the aftermath of that. The father has like come out to take control when Olivier was kind of toying with the idea of stepping up and maybe aiding in misleading them, but then the father was like, I'm still here. We don't need to worry, blah, 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 blah. So it's going to be an incredibly intense couple of episodes, I think. As to this chosen day, I don't necessarily understand what the chosen day actually is. Like, what makes it the chosen day? I've toyed with the idea that it could be like an eclipse, or it could be the anniversary of what happened in Xerxes. I'm not entirely sure, if I'm being honest, because we've not really had any hints, but I'm sure we will find out. Either way, I just loved Grumman's little smirk when he realized his plan had kind of come to fruition. All the parts are moving. The father, though, has come out of hiding in the basement of Central. So, yeah, it's getting really tense. And Al's body is failing him. His soul is being pulled towards the Door of Truth. It wants his body back. So he is weakening. I'm hoping that he does get his body back, like, soon, ASAP, because he truly deserves to have like a happy ending, bless him. But without further ado, we're going to jump into episode 47. Pride is terrifying. I always find it so funny that Pride, as the first homunculus and the oldest homunculus, is like a child, and Raph, who is the youngest, is the oldest looking. Kind of crazy. I am you. Kind of sounds like his mom. It is his mom, isn't it? Oh, wow. Okay. What a way to manipulate. That's sinister. I thought it was his mom trying to like guide him back to life, that he's too young to die. But no, it seems Pride is manipulating. Reunited, and it feels so good. I mean, he's probably been wanting to do that for a while. That's so funny. They both have ponytails. We're seeing a Hohenheim that's like a lot less guarded now. Like, he's a lot more willing to interact with Ed in like a jokey, funny kind of way than what he did when we initially first saw them together. He was very like closed off from Ed, almost like he was scared to let Ed in because he didn't want to drag him into this. He didn't want to impact him. And we know that he's worried about corrupting his son, so it makes sense. But now he's kind of let that guard down. We see a different side of his interaction with his children. That Ed finally knows. Ed is very much Hohenheim and Al is very much Trish. I do love that he was attempting to sacrifice himself for his boys. I said an eclipse! I said an eclipse! Because it's such like a rare event. I was like, oh, maybe an eclipse to like block out the sun, because the sun was on the... Oh my god, what's it called? Like the statue thing in Xerxes. Like the sun was represented on it. Oh my god, I'm so smart. I love that he's so proud of his son, that his son's not willing to sacrifice lives in order to get what he wants, that his son is a better man, which means I think they're going to get their bodies back through entering the door on the chosen day. They're going to get their bodies back without having to sacrifice anyone in the process for it, because that seems the right way. They're not going to use a philosopher's stone. They're going to exploit the promised day to retrieve their bodies by entering the door of truth. That's how it's always been hinted at, is that essentially once they knew what the philosopher's stones truly were, that they would find other ways to do so. They basically said as much, that they would find other ways to get their bodies back without using the philosopher's stone, because they don't want to further sacrifice the souls within it, because the bodies of these people may be dead, but their souls reside within the stones itself. And we saw when Hohenheim had to use his abilities, he apologized to the souls that he was having to use in that process. He recognized them still as people. He recognized their importance. He didn't discredit them. He didn't devalue them. He didn't dehumanize them. And Ed and Al are very similar. They don't want to use the souls in the Philosopher's Stone because they recognize them as people. They recognize them as the remnants of those that have been sacrificed to make this. They can't bring themselves to use it because they value life so much and so highly that it goes against everything they believe in to use a philosopher's stone. We know how much Ed was impacted by having to do it in order to escape the belly of gluttony. He didn't really have a choice, but it really hurt him, it impacted him, knowing that he had to use these souls in order to get into the door of truth, in order to get out of this place. But I think what kind of reiterated to him that it wasn't something he should punish himself over was that the souls thanked him for it because he released them from their pain, from their suffering. I think that's the only reason he was able to really forgive himself, is that he knows that the souls don't blame him, that they are free from their suffering, from their pain. But I don't think he can bring himself to use any other philosopher's stone because he doesn't necessarily know if they would be grateful for it either. But I just love this little bonding moment between father and son, and that Hohenheim was willing to sacrifice himself for his boys in order to give them their bodies back, to give them what they've always wanted back. But he's like, no, because this is our punishment. We don't want to sacrifice anyone to get back what we lost because of our own mistakes. We need to pay for those mistakes, and we need to find a way to earn it back without making anyone else suffer as a result. And I think Hohenheim's really proud of his boys as a result of that. The boys have grown up well, even if Hohenheim wasn't around. They very much model their mother's behaviors and their mother's beliefs. And I think Hohenheim probably sees a lot of Trisha in both of them. But Hohenheim and Ed are very alike each other, very stubborn, strong-willed, and Al is a lot more soft and gentle and educated and willing to listen and accept what is being told to him, to try and find the good in everyone. I think that's very much what he's learned from Trisha. Is he going to tell him his mother's last words? There we go.
約束守れなくてごめん。先に行くって。
That she would be there when he got back.
確かに伝えたぞ。
Oh, I think Ed doesn't realize just how much Hohenheim loved Trisha and his boys, that everything he's done has been for them.
お前よ。 もうちょっとおやっさんと膝を交えて話した方がいいんじゃねえか。
He's still carrying some resentment.
せめて親父って呼んでやれよ。過去にいろいろあったようだが、あれは神さんを捨てるような男じゃないな。
See, I said this from the get-go.
もうせえな。だっていろいろあんだよ。
いろいろってなんだ。どうせつまらん意地だろ。気持ちの整理がつかねえんだろ。
Oh my god. Look at Greed coming in with the with the life advice. It's not easy for Hohenheim either. He's had this perception of his father for so long that it's hard to reconcile the fantasy with the reality.
私だっていつかしわくちゃのおばあさんになるわ
He
よ。
was so young when Hohenheim
でも
left.
ね、どんな姿になってもみんなで一緒に笑っていたいの。
Oh, I
だから
really
ずっと家族でいて。
want them to start bonding.
俺行くよ。待っててくれ。
はい。
Trisha would be so sad to see how fractured her
待
family
っていま
is.
す。
Oh, that picture breaks my heart.
約束守れなくてごめん。
The best way to
先に言
honor
ってるか。
Trisha is to reunite with your boys and
一緒
be
に
the
降り
father
て死
that
ぬ
they
の
need.
は叶わなかったが、後から必ず俺が来ると信じてくれてるんだな。
Don't cry. Don't cry.
明日だ、トリシャ。
No, he says tomorrow, Trisha, because he says the one thing that you always believed is that I would come back to you, and he can't come back to her in life because she's gone, but he can come back to her in death. I think he's going to try and sacrifice himself in order to put a stop to the father's plans and to reunite with Trisha. And if that's the case, I'm going to fucking bawl my eyes out. But he deserves to live a long, happy life with his boys. He doesn't deserve to die. I think he sees that as the only option, and maybe it is the only option to really put an end to the father. But if he doesn't get to live that life with his boys, to be in their lives, to see them grow up, to have the family that he always should have had, it's going to absolutely destroy me emotionally. And I'm already like getting myself worked up at the prospect. But the fact he says tomorrow, Trisha, means he's resolute. I think that he is probably going to die tomorrow, or he expects to, which will be absolutely devastating if Ed never really gets to say everything that he wants to say to Hohenheim, if they don't get to unite and sort of make amends and be a father-son dynamic. I think there will always be an aspect of guilt and maybe regret in Ed if he loses his father before they can really start life together. And they deserve to have at least one present parent after the loss of their mom. And I think Trisha would prefer Hohenheim to be alive with their boys than to be reunited with her. He's going to make his coat, his red coat, because he had to leave it behind.
うへえ、またこんな派手なの着る気か？
Of course he
なん
is.
で
He's
赤
got to
なんだ？
make a statement.
多分奴らと最後の戦いになるだろうからよ。気合い入れていかねえとな。お前はなんでよ。ホムンクルスの奴らからトンズラ国とか言ってなかったか？
なんでセントラルに戻ってきたかって教えねえよ。
Oh. He's got a game plan.
なんだよ。
Gluttony. Al? That can't be Al, right? How did Al get away? That's not Al.
元気だったか？
Or
兄
something's
さんも無
not
事だった
right.
んだね。
あっちは大丈夫なんだよ。
Something's off. Reed senses that something's off.
レン、そいつから離れろ。
Oh, it's Ling that's come out. Yeah, Ling can sense when something's off. Like the homunculuses. Is it Pride? Who is it? Gluttony? One of them. Pride's co-opted the body of Al.
そちらに着いたのですか？ブリード。
We did see the figure
またそんな人間に乗っ取られるなんて。
creep in, so it must be Pride.
魂が弱すぎる。
Holy shit. Is this so that Pride can escape the limitations? Because he's like bound to certain areas, right? Like that's what Hohenheim discovered. Like Hohenheim realized that like he can't quite leave Central. So maybe he's co-opted Al's body as a way to like escape those limitations and those boundaries. That's why we saw that like weird thing at the beginning, is because he's co-opting Al for maybe this purpose of actually tracking down Ed and not being bound by those restrictions. Or maybe I'm just misremembering the boundaries. I just thought that's what Hohenheim was kind of mocking, like, oh, you can't go so far, like you can only exist sort of within close proximity to Central, whereas like they're not at Central yet, so maybe this is his loophole of getting around it. Oh, he's alive. Don't count him out yet.
セントラルの美味しいところはマスタング大佐にくれてやる。マスタング大佐とアームストロング少将のどちらもこのままことを起こせば無本人扱いされるだろう。もしそうなったらその時こそがわしの出番だ。少ないリスクでわしがこの国の実権を握るために。
He's a crafty old man, isn't he?
家中の栗を拾ってもらう。
Grooming! He's using all this to gain power and advantage. Oh wait, or is this Miles's thought process? Whose thought process was this? Grooming's or Miles? Or maybe a combination of both? As he said, that's probably what the old fox is thinking, so maybe isn't actually what Grooming's thinking, but what Miles thinks Grooming wants. I don't know why you're shocked. This is not the first time he's done it. It is Al. Why would he come with you? My god, it's so creepy. They're already prepared. They're like, this is too powerful. But they can injure you. Yeah. Ooh. Holy shit. Pride is definitely the scariest of them all. I love how even in this moment he's thinking of the innocent people that could be harmed because of pride. What a man. Is he a man? Is he 18 at this point? I think so. Oh shit. Oh, he won't risk losing Ling because he knows Ling still resides within. God, I love this song. Every time this song plays, I want to know what it's called so I can like put it on my Spotify, but it's so good every time. If you know the OST, let me know, because it's like my favorite. What? Hohenheim knows he needs to go to Ed, but also Pride disappeared. Because he resides within the shadows. But I love that Ed knew this. That's insane. Because he resides in the shadows, it's pitch black. No.
あいつ専用のお出かけ用の入れ物があるのさ。どんな入れ物だ？
Slim.
月も星もなしですか。
Nope, they are not.
暗闇ではあちらも動けないはず。
But maybe Hohenheim can. Animal instincts. They can see in the dark.
この姿に動揺せず攻撃してくるとはなかなか。
確かにガキを手にかけるのは気がしてるがな。
But he's not a little kid. That's the thing. Insane. Insane.
動いた様子はない。あいつ動いたらガシャガシャ言うし。
よし、ひとまずここを離れよう。下手に近づいて罠だったらどうする？
Is his soul even there? That's the thing. If Pride's able to occupy it, it seems like his soul's maybe been pulled out of the armor.
プライドめ、なぜ俺たちの居場所が分かった？あいつにそんな能力は。
Oh fuck! Gluttony's here. Thank God for these chimeras. Without them, they'd be dead. There's another sibling greed. That's how they were able to track you down. He could smell you.
なるほど。グラトニーの嗅覚を使って俺たちを探し当てたってわけか。あと知らないやつの匂いは食べていいよね。
No.
ご指名だ、ダリウス。あいつもホムンクルスだぜ。あいつは匂いを頼りに動いているだけだ。今なら五分五分で戦えるんじゃないのか。
I still like Gluttony. He's just a big baby. I love how these chimeras went from oh, that's Ed. Wrong one. Went from serving Kimberly to actually being loyal.
すまん。
交代しろ。俺ならホムンクルスの気配を察知できる。
Trust him.
暗いのに気づいたのも俺だったろう。この暗闇なら俺の方がうまく立ち回れる。
Work together. I love Ling. I love all the characters in the show. I don't think there's a character I hate in Fullmetal Alchemist. I love this dynamic. It is. You've tried to eat him before and it didn't work. Oh, not this again. Something's coming. It's Lam Fan. She has her arm now. Did Gluttony come back for like 2 episodes and then die? Not even 2 episodes, like 1 episode. 1 episode. Ah, that was so cool. As soon as I saw the blade, I was like, that has to be Lam Fan. I was like, there's no way it's anyone else. And then I heard the music and I was like, no, that's Zing. That's Lam Fan. But Gluttony literally came back for like an episode and then he might already be dead again. Yikes. But, oh, okay. So we're not getting the chosen day so far. I couldn't quite tell if that was actually Grumman's plan or if that's just what Miles thinks Grumman wants to do, because Grumman never really struck me as that, but maybe Grumman's just really good at acting. Everybody's vying for power in their own way. Like, even Roy isn't solely doing this to create a better society. Like, he wants to be the Führer, and he's made that very clear from the get-go. So, you know, it wouldn't be a shock, but I just never really pegged him as the type because he seemed quite content with his place in life and that he was near retirement. But I guess you can never truly know people, and situations like these bring out people's true natures, true characters. But I do love that we went from seeing the Chimeras loyal to Kimberly, loyal to Central, loyal to the Homunculus, to now being loyal to Ed and wanting to help him and get their bodies back. But now they kind of don't want their bodies back. I feel like their abilities are really cool. I guess like I can understand why they would want to return to being normal, but look at how good it was in a situation like this when it was pitch black so that they could hide from Pride, because Pride can't work if there's no shadows. It relies on the shadows. It is the shadows, essentially. So Pride can't see anything, so can't act. But the Chimeras can, because they can see in the dark. That animal instinct allows them to move, allows them to function. It's so cool. So cool. I love this show. I love it so much. I feel like I say that at the end of every single Fullmetal Alchemist episode, but it's really true. I don't think there's a character in the show that I hate. I even like Kimberly, because I think Kimberly's really well written. I think he's very dynamic. I think his philosophy on life is really interesting. I think he's punchable. I think he's a really good villain, and that's why I think he's punchable. But I still think he's a good character. I think he's really well fleshed out, and I look forward to having him involved in the story because I know it's going to be interesting. Likewise, the homunculus are all really interesting. Yoki is really interesting. I know Yoki's not an antagonist, but he's like a minor character, but he's really, really fascinating. I don't think there's a character in this that I can confidently be like, I hate them, I don't like them. Whereas there were characters in other shows like Death Note, like Attack on Titan, that I was like, oh, I genuinely hate those characters. Like, I can't stand them. Whereas in this, I'm like, I like them all for different reasons. In Attack on Titan, again, I did have characters that I didn't like, but I could still value their function in the writing and still think that they were well written. But I just didn't like them, which I think is fair enough. But similar to Frieren and Apothecary Diaries, there's not characters I hate in those either because they're just really, really well written. And Attack on Titan is really well written, don't get me wrong. But there were definitely characters in that show that I was like, I don't like you, you annoy me. But I could still appreciate them for what they offered the narrative, even if they weren't my favorite character. But I feel like Fullmetal Alchemist is just so good. There's not been a single episode where I've felt like it wasn't necessary or important or had any relevance to the show. There's not a character that isn't fleshed out and well written. There isn't a moment that isn't like hype and full of excitement for what comes next. Even Hohenheim is so like minor at the beginning of the series and then goes on to have like this most heartbreaking in-depth backstory later on, and you wouldn't expect that he would. You would initially be led to believe that he's heartless, that he just abandoned his family. I never believed that. I knew there was more to it because nothing's what it ever appears to be, especially when you're reading books and watching shows. Everything has to be taken with a grain of salt because they like to mislead you. They like to make you think that you know a character and then you realize you never actually knew them to begin with. But Hohenheim is like one of my hands down favorites because he's just a dad. He just wants to be a dad. He just wants to be a husband. And he's been dragged into all of this so that he could be a husband and a father. And that's all he's ever aspired to be. And he gets it, but then he can't even enjoy it because he's so scared that he's going to corrupt them and be a monster. And then his sons resent him. Well, not so much Al, but Ed resents him. Ed has this perception of who his father is, because his father was never really around and then his father left and he was young. So the Hohenheim he meets doesn't live up with the idea in his head. He probably built up this idea of his father as some like big, massive hero, alchemical genius because he learned all these things from his books. He's built him up to be a larger character than he is. He doesn't realize that his dad is also human in terms of emotions. His father is a philosopher's stone, but he is fundamentally very human in his behaviors and his feelings and his thoughts. So Ed finds it hard to kind of wrestle this larger than life image of his father with the very human reality that is Hohenheim, that Hohenheim isn't this leading alchemist. He is, but that's not what he wants to be. He just wants to be a father and a husband, and that's all he's ever wanted. He just wants to grow old and die with his wife, and he didn't even get that. He's such a tragic figure, but I'm hoping that him and Ed can reconcile, because my worry is that tomorrow means that he fully intends to sacrifice himself to put a stop to all of this, and not having that moment with his sons and getting to live a life with them is just going to break my heart, because the boys have gone through so much. They've already lost one parent. They don't need to lose Hohenheim either. It will make me inconsolable. 100%. I will be an absolute wreck. Either way, phenomenal episode again. I wonder what's happened to Al. His soul was in that place that it keeps getting pulled to. So I think his soul has left his body either temporarily and it'll come back in the next episode, or like his soul has like well and truly been pulled out of him. And that part of the bigger mission is getting to Central for the Promised Day so that they can try and retrieve Al, whose soul is now reunited with the body, but he's now trapped behind the door because it seems like his body's just kind of given up. So I think what may have happened is that the soul is back with the body, but the body is still behind the door of truth. So Ed's mission now is that he needs to get his brother out of there, that he needs to rescue him from it. But we will see. If you enjoyed this react, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment below to help boost this video into the algorithm. And until next episode, bye!